On November 27th, 1997, citizens from a small Midwestern town called Carpenters Bay were shocked to discover that one of their own brutally massacred his family, as well as ending his own life on Thanksgiving Day. Dubbed the Thanksgiving Day Massacre, this horrendous crime would forever tarnish the good name of this peaceful town. However, underneath this story lies a dark secret. A secret involving a government cover-up to hide the real story of what happened that fateful day. As the old saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. Asset 13, The Last Thanksgiving, written by Julius Freeman, art by Greg Warrenchak, available on Global Comics. Evil has a new holiday.
In the age of social media, all it takes nowadays to spark up an online fight is to merely have an opinion. One opinion will cause many to spiral into a pit hole of anger where no one dialogues, only insults the person who has the unpopular or even the popular opinion regarding the latest trends in comic books, movies, or pulp culture. It makes sense given the circumstance. After all, acting tough behind the protective wall of the black mirror we all own and use on a daily basis makes it easy for anyone to jump right into a tirade of insults and threats. Again, just for having an opinion that they may disagree with. I decided to go against that notion. I've decided to start a video series where we discuss the hot topic issues within the comic book industry and pulp culture and provide you with another perspective. One of logic, reason, with just plain old dialogue between two people who have different opinions. My co-host and I will discuss the pop culture topics at hand in a fun, engaging, and respectable manner. So, without further ado, let's talk about it. Hey. Well, hey, it's good to be back. Man, it's been a while. It's been 5 months or 6 months, actually. I think we had our hiatus back in December. Whatever the case, welcome back, guys. It's good to be back. As you can see, I'm missing my co-host, Kyle. He, well, let's just say that the AI update didn't go through, and so he's glitchy. I can't really use him as much as I did before, but no, I'm going. He couldn't make it tonight, but I decided to go live anyway because it's been 5 months, so I decided to just simply go solo and talk to you guys. You know, lower voiceovers guys. They kicked me out of the mental hospital for blowing up their toilet. What in the world? What's that all about? Well, welcome to the show, Lara Voice Boy Covers. Oh, you're probably new to the show. Well, welcome. I'm enjoying my whiskeys Friday night, so whiskey straight with ice. My favorite. Justin, you know what, Justin, you should have finally created your own show called Let's Chat About It. I think that would have been kind of cool to have a show like that. I would watch it. It'd be a cool show, but here I am. So bear with me. This is the first time I'm going solo on the show. Usually I have Kyle here with me, and it's easy to go back and forth. But like I said, I wanted to come solo because I have to get used to it. It's part of the gig now, which is part of the reason why I came back on, because I wanted to update you guys about the future. My future as an indie comic book creator and the company that I'm trying to get off the ground, Elusive Comic. But before I go into that, I wanted to discuss with you guys as to why I had the hiatus, as to why I decided to step away. Because to be honest with you, the campaign, the Ghetto Dragon campaign that I launched back in November, or I can't remember if it was October or November, I can't remember, didn't go well. It was definitely a reality check for me, because it showed me that the landscape had once again shifted, and um, it's safe to say, I know maybe a lot of people will disagree with this, but the gravy train, I guess you could say, of crowdfunding, or at least guaranteed successful crowdfunding campaigns, is gone. And the reason for that is there's a lot of factors at play. And remember, this is my opinion. Okay, this is not something that's the truth or what. This is what based off my observation and what I've seen in the landscape, and that is that a lot of people have been burned, and so a lot of people are not backing a lot of campaigns unless you are an established creator who always fulfills and always fulfills on time, and rightfully so. The second thing is, I didn't do my due diligence as a creator to promote and market the campaign. And the reason for that is because I didn't book myself to a lot of shows, a lot of podcasts. I didn't really get active on social media like I should have. And X had dried up. A lot of people left X and went off to Blue Sky. They're now more focused on Instagram. They're not really on X as much as they were a few years ago. And I discovered there's a whole crowd of readers on TikTok, and it's pretty great to watch. It's pretty great to see. And so I've been focusing more on there lately, kind of checking out the area or the landscape to see exactly what kind of crowd is there. And of course, Facebook is also huge there too. So it's pretty much all spread out. And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna pull back and find out exactly what went wrong, and part of that is the fact that I did not do my due diligence as a creator. That's the main part, is the fact that I didn't book myself to shows and promote the campaign and really go hard on it. And the reason for that is because I have 2 kids, and I didn't like coming home and rushing to prepare for a live stream when my 2 beautiful kids, run up to me and want to spend time with me. And that kind of hurt a little bit. That kind of hurt me a bit. I didn't like to be away from them as much. And that's when I also discovered that I don't have the time to do a full-on hardcore 30-day campaign anymore. I just couldn't do it. It was just too many factors. And the main culprit is time. I don't have the time anymore to commit to doing that, what I call it online touring. When they go, you reach out to people and you ask them to be a guest on their show, I should say. And that's another thing I discovered. Out of the 20 or so people I reached out to be on the show, or to be on a guest on the show, about maybe 5 responded to me. The rest left me on red. And that's when I realized, okay, so maybe there's the time factor. Maybe they weren't interested in the project, or maybe they didn't like the project, whatever. Just the fact that people that I reached out to, thinking that, I have a relationship with them, they're cool with me, they and I are in a good standing, and a lot of them are left me on red, and which kind of got me all thinking like, okay, maybe that's those avenues are closed for whatever reason. So I decided to let it go. And okay, well, what am I going to do? So for the past 5 months, I was just really brainstorming as to what I wanted to do going forward, because I realized that crowdfunding was not the right way to go for me. Time is the worst. Excuse me. Ooh, I had a little scratch, and it could be the whiskey. Crenshaw says time is the worst. Dude, absolutely. The time crunch. It's mainly the time crunch for me. The fact that I have to really hurry up and try to get the campaign funded which was the kind of pressure I don't get me wrong, I like that kind of pressure. It really does sharpen my skills as a salesperson, as a salesman to my books. But I just don't have the time. That's what it is. Yeah, the time is the worst, man. It flies by. It flies by when you're trying to get this done. And then of course they didn't fund, so that kind of stung a bit. When I went to Michael Bancroft's live stream, his audience were really brutal. And then everything went wrong that stream too. Like the sound didn't come out. His audience didn't like the fact that trailers were being played, which I found to be interesting too. Where it was like, well, I guess people don't want trailers no more. Then I kind of specified it to just Bancroft's crowd, and nothing against Bancroft's crowd. It's just they like what they like, and they made it be known, and it got me thinking. Okay, I gotta again add to the list of changes I have to make. So as I was thinking about this and realizing, okay, I don't want to do crowdfunding. What can I do? How can I go about continuing making comic books? Because that's the key for me. The key for me is I love making comic books. I don't want to stop, because when I discovered comic books when I was 12 years old, I was immediately hooked. And the reason for that is because it took me to a place that I didn't know existed in my imagination. And it was a perfect fit too, because I wasn't a highly imaginative kid growing up, because I grew up in a very poor area, for lack of a better term, the ghetto. And comics were the necessary escape that I needed growing up. It really was a major staple of my development as a person, because it really opened my eyes and my mind and my heart too, to worlds I didn't know existed, stories that were you know, that took me to places that I never would have dreamed of. And of course the art played a factor in that, and the fact that I was able to enjoy images plus reading. And I hated reading at the time. I was a TV kid, but comics was the first actual media where I was like, I could sit down and read this and enjoy it as well, and retain what I read, because of course my ADD would kick in. And so it again played a major factor. And then as I grew up and I kept buying comics, kept collecting them, reading them, going to comic shops, talking shop with, regular customers, people who eventually became my friends, shop owners, all that stuff. And then when I became 19 and I read V for Vendetta, that was another moment, another major staple in my development as a, not just human, but a creator, was reading V for Vendetta. And that got me thinking, I want to make comic books. If this guy, Alan Moore and David Lloyd, created this new character that had no established platform, it wasn't like an old character from the 50s or anything that they revamped. It was a pure original creation that two minds developed together. It got me thinking, if they can do that, I can do that. And ever since then, that's been the journey, is creating comic books. So now the landscape has changed in 2026. Now, where back then, 10, 15 years ago, you would have a certain avenues, right? You could either self-publish, but that would cost an arm and a leg if you didn't have the funds, which is why crowdfunding was such an important thing that occurred in our modern time, is that a lot of indie creators got a chance to fund their dreams. I was one of them. My first successful crowdfunding campaign was Ghetto Dragon. It did pretty well, but not enough where I was able to sustain. And that's the thing that finally clicked for me during the 5 months that I was gone. And that is sustainability. Because what I got to start to think was, how can the indie sphere compete with the mainstream? And the reality is we can't compete with the mainstream, because the mainstream releases monthly books every month, nonstop. I mean, there's delays here and there, but for the most part, they have the readership there conditioned that every month when they go back to the shop, they expect the next issue of the series they like to be there ready for them to pick up and buy. Indie creators, we don't have that luxury. Unless you have a lot of money and you could develop, you could produce more material if you have the funds coming in. But for the most part, if you want to compete with the mainstream, you got to keep up with their speed, and that is monthly titles every month. So then I go, okay, well, how can I maybe not compete? So I changed that thinking, right? I changed that thinking from, okay, don't think of it like competition. How can I compete with Marvel, DC, Image, and so on? I shifted my focus and my concentration to, well, how can I sustain myself to keep this going? Right? So I had to find my own speed. And I go, okay, well, crowdfunding is still there. This is not a knock on crowdfunding, by the way. I'm not here to knock crowdfunding. I'm not here to say I'm never going to use crowdfunding ever again. I'm still going to use it. It's a valuable tool for indie creators. And if you're an indie creator yourself, always use crowdfunding as much as you can. You just got to campaign, and campaigning is tough work. It really is hard work, truly, because you got to get yourself out there and convince people to buy your book when they have no idea who you are. And if you're not established, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to sell yourself if you don't know how to sell yourself, especially if you're an introvert like myself. I know it may not seem like it now, but this nervous energy is because I'm naturally an introvert, so I have to get myself out of that comfort zone. Aerobot Bert asked me, what was your first comic book you've ever made? Ooh, man. I made lots, but my first comic book was absolute trash. My first comic book, I don't have it anymore because it got lost with my first hard drive that took a crap 20 years ago. But I remember when before it crashed and I reread it, it was absolutely horrendous, dude. I don't even remember the name of the book. Honestly, I kind of just filed it away and forgot about it because I don't think anyone needs to see that. But my first comic book was when I was 20. So since then, I've done other stuff. But yeah, going back to the point, finding my own speed. And then I started thinking like, okay, well, what does that look like? What does my own speed look like? And then I started looking at all the avenues that we have in this space. I have a brother-in-law who once told me during a talk about all this, the internet and how everything's so easily accessible nowadays, and literally by a click of a button, you could get practically whatever you want at this point in history. And he said something that stuck with me, and he said that there is no excuse to fail now. And I thought about that for a while. And I said, yeah, you're right. There is no excuse to fail this time, is there? So no, because all you have to do is just remain present in the modern landscape. If you're active on social media, be it YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, if you stick with it long enough and if you market yourself well enough, you could pretty much make a pretty good living. He said maybe not millionaire status, but you could potentially become a thousandaire and do it full time if you do it right. And he was right about that. And that's what I was trying to discover is what is my speed? How fast do I want to go? Because the name of the game is to produce as many of the stories that I have in development into comic books. Because my hard drive now that I have is full of short stories and story ideas that I hope to one day make into comic books. And so how can I get that to happen? Without waiting for permission, without, trying to go through Image or Dark Horse or any other independent publishing house. How can I, Julius Freeman, a Lucid Comic, get to you, colleagues, readers, people who are looking for various comic books, that maybe go outside the superhero genre? How can I get that stuff to you? How can I prove myself to you that I'm worthy of your time and money? I hate to say it that way, but that's the truth. I'm still selling books at the end of the day. Not only selling books, but selling myself on top of that. Hey, Unhinged, how you doing, dude? Good to see you. I'm glad you joined the show. And so, as I was thinking, I was like, well, I have Substack. I've had Substack for a while now, but haven't been too active on it because, for the most part, Substack is another great tool for writers because, I love to write. Not only do I like to write comic books and produce them, but I also love to write. Sit down and just type away, ideas and thoughts and what have you. And Substack was the perfect platform for me because I'm not really a big fan of live streaming, but I understand the necessity of it, which is why I'm going to do it more often now, which is something I'll discuss a little later. Um, so I was thinking about that during my hiatus, and I was like, well, I mean, I don't want to make it into a newsletter. I think we have enough of those. And I follow a few people on Substack, and it's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, newsletters are great because it keeps people who support you in the loop as to what's going on with you and your projects, and that's fantastic. I love that. That's a good thing. But I wanted something a little bit more, something a little bit of a uniqueness to it, like something that stands out from everyone else. I didn't want to produce a newsletter on my Substack. I wanted something a bit more. So, as I mentioned earlier about growing up in the ghetto and comic books being a major factor in that, I developed this Substack series that I will be releasing soon called Tales from the Ghetto. And the reason for this is because one day at work in my day job, I was talking to a person who didn't grow up in the ghetto. They grew up well off, and I shared with them a story of mine that occurred in my neighborhood, and their reaction was that of wide eye and shock and disbelief. But I could see they were entertained by the story. I could see that the story I told them of my personal experience that I witnessed firsthand in the street that I grew up on. I'm not going to say what the story is because I want you guys to read it when they do go live, when the posts go live on Substack. A light bulb went off. I went, oh, there you go. Maybe it's due time. I actually share with you all stories about my upbringing, because when I told that story and the person who I told to, I guess, had their wide eyed, they were like, what? Like they couldn't believe it, but I could see that they were on the edge of their seat as I was telling the story. And so I thought, okay, it's time for me to share these wild tales that I experienced firsthand, either firsthand or through observation, or which was firsthand, or secondhand, which is stories told to me by friends and family members of the ghetto neighborhood I used to live at, and I compiled them, and that's what I've been working on for the past 5 months. Is these posts that you guys will see soon enough, free, when you sign up to my newsletter, and you'll have access to all these stories. And I'm remembering a lot of the stories that I've written out now, and I think you guys will be very entertained by these short stories. They're very short. They're not long. They're not long-winded. They're very quick, but very rich in entertainment because I take a few liberties. I change some names. I kind of try to flower it up with the writing. So there's that, and that's going to help me hopefully build my brand name, not just Lucid Comic, but Julius Freeman, to the eyes of new readers who potentially are looking for something like this. I don't know. I'm just going to start posting them because I think they're pretty great. I think they're pretty funny. And I also love the fact that my older brother, who's going to be a central character in these stories, his stories are finally going to get to be told. Rest in peace. He passed away years and years ago. But on his deathbed, he gave me permission to share these stories with you all because, yeah, I mean, just thinking about it now, remembering some of the stories he told me were pretty dark, pretty deep. But like he real quick before I move on, but my older brother was a great supporter of mine. For the record, he was an active street gang member. He was a member of a street gang, very dangerous one. He was dangerous, and he he always made sure I was never exposed to any of that growing up. He saw that I was the weird kid who read comic books. Because he didn't care about comic books, obviously. But the fact that he saw me reading comics, he always went the extra step to make sure that no one messed with me in the neighborhood, which, in hindsight, I was really appreciative of, because he did make sure to let people know not to mess with the little brother who read comic books in the porch of the house. But yeah, I'll get more into detail when you start reading the post. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, it was just something that just felt natural. It felt right in its time. I've been far away from that world, because I moved out of that neighborhood when I was 18. So once I moved out of that neighborhood 18, I was gone from that place. I didn't no longer was exposed to it. The neighborhood we moved into after that was a little better, and it wasn't as chaotic as it was in that neighborhood. And even to this day, that same neighborhood is still pretty chaotic. I go back from time to time because I still have some childhood friends that still live there, and so it's kind of always like a nostalgic, walk when I go back and I go, wow, this place still looks the same, just a little bit more ghetto. You know what I mean? How many comics have I read? Too much to count, man. Just think. I started reading comics since I was 12, and of course, like everyone else, started with Marvel and DC. Wolverine, the solo series was my jam. Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, and Punisher. Those were my books. Those were my foundational books, and those are the books I used to buy every month. Didn't care who wrote it, didn't care who drew it. I just bought those books because I liked the characters. And of course, when I got older, then I started paying more attention to who wrote them, who drew them, and et cetera, et cetera. Make them into TikToks. Yeah, dude. I thought about that. I'm definitely going to adapt a lot of them to videos, maybe to TikToks too. But I don't know. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do that. But for now, it's going to be Substack because I want to grow my Substack. I want people to discover me on Substack that don't read comic books, and that's the goal. The goal is to get readers who normally don't read comic books to get them to read comic books, especially mine, because that's the whole point, right? And so, not only will I be providing that series, Tales from the Ghetto, I'm still gonna have obviously newsletter posts about the latest things that I'm working on, what have you. And on top of that, once a month, I'm going to release a chapter of my novel. It's a novel that I've been working on for 10 years. It's a little nerve-wracking, if I'm being honest with you, because I never really had a lot of confidence in my long form writing, like novels, and I love reading novels. It's something that I don't talk about often because I don't have time to read novels anymore. But there's a good portion from my 20s up until maybe my mid 30s when I just read novels, and I love reading novels. I want to always write a novel as well. And so I'm not really fast at writing. I'm not really a big wordsmith either, because I spend most of my time developing my comic book script writing craft. So that's what I focus more on. So writing a novel took a little longer, and I'm finally confident enough to share it with you guys. So once a month, you'll receive. I'll be posting a chapter from my novel called The Secret Door. It's a story about a mall security cop who one day sees a door in between two major stores open up, and he sees two people walk out, and he's never seen the door before. He's worked there for 5 years or so, something like that, to that effect. And he's like, what the hell? So he checks out the wood door is shaped like an owl. It's an owl carved art piece. And he tells his boss, and they check the security cameras because his boss obviously is just as confused as he is. And not second door, secret door, excuse me for my mumbling. Secret door, the secret door, Aerobot. And so his boss obviously is more confused, is just as confused as he is. So they check the security cameras, and he discovers that
the door never opened, and he quickly realizes that he is the only one that can see the door, and that's where the story takes off. So that's my first novel. I thought about adapting into a comic book, but I want to try the novel approach first, and if it does well, then yeah, I'll adapt it to a graphic novel. I have a few artists in mind who would probably kill it if I could get them to join it. But yeah, that's gonna be it for my Substack. It's gonna be obviously news. It's gonna be Tales from the Ghetto, with stories about me growing up in the ghetto, and then The Secret Door, and they'll get that once a month. I'm hoping to post the first chapter of Secret Door in mid-May, because I'm still editing. I'm still tweaking some stuff from the first few chapters. And for the record, the novel is done. The novel is complete. It took me 5 years, but I finished it. And I finished it during COVID, oddly enough. So when the world was shut down, of course, everyone had all this extra time. So I used the time to finish the novel, and I did. So I'm still tweaking it and everything. So I'm hoping to release that first chapter in mid-May. Tales from the Ghetto, I'm gonna shoot for this coming week. So hopefully this coming Wednesday, I'll have the first Tales from the Ghetto post go live, and you guys can check it out. So if you want to sign up to my Substack, go for it. And so yeah, so you could check out the or you don't have to sign up for the newsletter. It's going to be public, so it's not going to be exclusive to the people who sign up to the email list. It's going to be live to everyone. But I'm going to have the first few chapters available to people who sign up to the Lucid Lounge, which is something I'll discuss a little later. But yeah, that's what I decided to do for the Substack. So I'll slowly build the Substack, and that I think would help with that. That got me. That at least took care that I at least solved the Substack problem, because I wanted to be more active on Substack. But like I said, I didn't want to be just the guy who writes newsletters. I wanted to add a little bit more flavor to it. So I think Tales from the Ghetto is a good idea, as well as dropping The Secret Door. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, it was an idea. It happened to me, actually. The idea came from I wasn't a mall security cop. I worked at the mall years and years ago, and it was during my lunch break where I was writing in my journal, eating my food during my lunch break, and in the peripheral, the left of me, it was in between two stores, and I saw a door open. I saw it was a wall. It looked like a wall, and I remember seeing the door open, and I was like, "What the hell?" I looked up, and it was a wall, but someone had come out from behind the wall. I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then when they closed it, and I was like, "Oh, it was an employee entrance. So only employees and security personnel were able to walk in and out of that door." But it was the idea. It struck me, and right there I wrote the rough of the first chapter. It was like 4 pages long, just me, not me, but it was a fictional character. Same thing, having lunch, seeing the door open, and then realizing he's the only one that can see it and no one else. And then that's where it built from there. You found the yeah, dude, that's crazy that you say that, because yeah, years later when the Backrooms thing started, I was like, whoa, dude, that's kind of like, yeah, that was kind of like almost the same idea, but I took it in a in a sci-fi fantasy. You'll see what I'm talking about when I start to drop the chapters. At first it was going to be a horror suspense thing, but then as I kept developing that first draft, it didn't feel right. I wasn't feeling it, so I just scrapped it and I started all over again from that first chapter. And then when I took it to the other direction, which was a sci-fi direction, it felt good. It felt right, and so I went with that instead. So then, now that I took care of the Substack issue and I was happy with that, then I started thinking about, okay, well, what am I going to do regarding comic books? What am I going to do with the crowdfunding? I don't want to crowdfund no more. That was for sure. I didn't want to do it no more. I didn't want to do the 30-day campaigning. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. It was too, like I said, too compressed. It just wasn't my style. So I started thinking and thinking, and then I just realized I was like, dude, I need to have an online shop. I have to have an online shop because that's the only way I could sell the books that I have developed and produced through crowdfunding, like Vigilant Fury, Reset Protocol, and Ghetto Dragon, and get those books to new readers who didn't get a chance to, back the project when it was live on crowdfunding. And there's a whole readership out there that don't know anything about any of those books. So I was like, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spread out the campaigning. So instead of 30 days, campaigning for a crowdfunder and hopefully I get it funded, I decided, you know what, I'm going to focus on campaigning my online store and find new readers who can buy my books right then and there without waiting the 30 days or, for most crowdfundings, a year or two for the book to be finished. And you hope to get it within a year or two of the time frame that the people who do crowdfunding promise you. And as we know, a lot of the time, I would say 95% of the time, almost everyone is late. And I'm guilty of it too. Reset Protocol was late because the colorist had a personal issue that he had to take care of, and that delayed the book. Vigilant Fury was delayed by a year because Gambino, halfway through the production of the book, changed his art style and decided, I'm going to change the art style, and that delayed the book for a year. So I'm guilty of it too. It's because there's all those factors that we don't take into account when we first start doing this stuff. And so that got me, okay, I'm going to do it this way instead. So the online store is the way is what I'm going to do going forward. And not only for that, but also for new projects as well. And also I'm going to go full on black and white, but overall it's the right speed for me. It's the right fit for me as a creator. I like to take my time. I don't like to rush things, and campaigning feels rushed to me, and it stresses me out. Not too bad, but like I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, it stressed me because I hated the fact that my kids would bang at the door or scream for me because I'm here locked in the room doing a live stream to sell my campaign, and other factors like I mentioned, in the beginning. And so I thought, okay, I'll do an online store, and that's what I've been doing since then as well. I researched, online, platforms that serve as an online storefront, and bought a domain name and did some more research and built the website. Very simple, nothing too fancy. I was hoping to go live today, but again, factors at play here. I'm a family man. There's time, the time factor. My day job is there's a lot of changes going on with my day job that's taking up a lot more of my time. So I ran out of time today. I was hoping to launch it and do the whole big old shebang, but it looks like it might happen tomorrow when I'm on Crenshaw's show. So you might want to check out that show tomorrow with Crenshaw. But I want to show you guys what I'm working on. Like I said, not live. So I'm going to show you the preview mode of what the website's going to look like, and explain to you what it is that I'm offering. Crowdfunding isn't what it used to be. Yeah. It's not. It's not, because, like I said, there's a lot of factors at play that a lot of new creators don't take into account. And also on top of that, a lot of backers have been burned. And when you get burned on something, you don't go back. I surely don't. When I get burned on something, I just move on. I just go, okay, well, I lost my money there. I guess I'll just go on and don't worry about it. It was only $30 anyway, but whatever. Good luck to that person. I'm moving on. I'm not going to back that person anymore. And I know there's a lot of people like that. So I'm still going to use crowdfunding. Like I said, I'm not going to stop using it. I'm just going to be a lot more smarter with it. See if hopefully it works out well. But for now, this is what's going on here now. So, so here it is. This is the Lucid Comic Shop. And like I said, it's a very simple website. And Yeah, Crenshaw, a lot of few guys are building their own sites, and it's the way to go, honestly, because like I said earlier in the stream, consistency and is a key to maintaining your career as a comic book creator, and that is that um every indie, I guess, supporter likes to have new books. I surely do. And I was talking to my co-host Kyle. If he were here, he would verify it. But the next time he's here, he'll verify it. He's told me numerous times how much he backs these indie books and he likes them, but then he has to wait 2 years for the next one or a year for the next one. And again, Kyle is just a consumer. He's just a reader. So him having to wait a year for a book, of course, he loses interest in it. He doesn't want to. He just forgets because readers are accustomed to getting getting new books every month. So the goal here is to get some revenue from the books that I already have, and hopefully, in using that revenue to reinvest back into the company to produce more content for you guys. Not content, books, comic books, graphic novels, one shots to you guys. Monthly books are way out of our reach. So the goal here for me, for Lucid Comic, is to release books hopefully every quarter, every 4 to 5 months, maybe 6 months. I would say probably 6 months is the goal for me at the moment, until hopefully the revenue comes in and I'm able to grow and be able to pay out artists who are working on projects that I want to get off the ground. Hey Soto, what's up, Ben? How you doing, dude? Glad you made it here. Aerobert says, what was the first game you ever played as a child? It would have to be Tetris. Tetris for sure was the first game that my friend had a Game Boy, came over with it to share, play, and I was hooked, man. Tetris is my game. So yeah, here's the site, a Lucid Comic Shop, stories that take you to the edge. This here was because I was working on some of the new projects that I want to release soon. I started thinking, yeah, what is a Lucid Comic? Again, the 5 months, the hiatus I had, I really started thinking really hard as to what is a Lucid Comic? What is it that I want it to be? What kind of stories do I want to tell with that name, a Lucid Comic? And so I really loved Vertigo Comics when once I became an adult and I discovered Vertigo Comics and I read books like 100 Bullets, what other books? Invincibles, Swamp Thing. There's another one that I really love. Johnny Rocket was another great one. And then El Diablo, which was a short Western series that Brian Azzarello did with Daniel Zj. I can never pronounce his last name. I always butcher it. Vertigo, man. Like, I really love the fact that Vertigo always produced these edgy books that were not too crazy, but just right there for you to keep coming back and wanting to read, more of it. And that's what I want a Lucid Comic to be. I want it to be this place where it's a shared universe. Yes, I know it's part of the comic book game. I love shared universes. I've always loved that about Marvel. When I'm growing up, is the fact that the characters that were in separate books interacted with one another. I've always loved that. I still do to this day. I don't care if it's burned out. There's no superheroes here. There's no spandex, and this is not a knock on superhero genre. This is just a personal creative choice. And so, the first book that I'm releasing under this, it's currently on pre-order, is a Asset 13: The Last Thanksgiving in black and white, and it's gonna be. I'm gonna start fulfill. It's right now currently on pre-order. So once the website goes live, it'll be in pre-order. So you can order your copy, pre-order it, and the book will go out at the end of May, guaranteed. And I say that with confidence, with the utmost confidence. At the end of May, the books start going out to the people who pre-order the books, and they will go out until supplies last. And it's going to be a small print run. It's not going to be a large print run. It's going to be a small one. So once I run out of the inventory, this version of The Last Thanksgiving with the 14-page preview for Samuel Zion, so this right here, it's going to go away. So there's going to be no preview once supplies and in the inventory is gone and everything's fulfilled. It's going to revert back to a staple bound floppy issue. And if I already have the sample here, so let me just blow up here real quick so I could show you guys this beauty. So there's the binding with the name, cover. The print came out great. The art is by Greg Warrenchak, and it's all in black and white. All in black and white. And then there's a little fake little newspaper that's part of the story. And then there's some essay that I wrote. And then there's the preview for Samuel Zion right there. And the artist is also Greg Warrenchak. So yeah, there it is. It's ready to go. There's another reason why there was a hiatus, was because I was working with a bunch of printers. The book was done. Again, I thought about, should I crowdfund it? There's Fund My Comic. There's Kickstarter. Do I want to fund this black and white comic book? And after much thinking, after much thought, I went, no, I don't want to crowdfund this, because the book is done. Like, why do I want to crowdfund? Why do I want to crowdfund for 30 days and then fulfill the next month after that? Why not fulfill within the 30 days? Because I have to, build up the inventory. I have to get the books, but it's ready to go. I have it right here, ready to go for you guys to consume. And this story, the Last Thanksgiving, is going to be black and white, and it's a love letter to all the 80s slasher horror movies and characters. So, if you're a fan of Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this book is right up your alley. This story is not something that I created. I didn't develop this. It was Chris Hicks. He came up with this idea. He was looking for a writer to help him develop it, and he hired me to develop it. And he and I worked really well together, because we both discovered that we were huge fanboys of John Carpenter. I love John Carpenter films. Like he's like one of my favorite. I think he's thankfully now he's getting his flowers, but back in, when I went to college and I, studied film for a few years, a lot of people didn't like John Carpenter. A lot of my film buddies didn't like John Carpenter. They're all pompous little punks who liked, Stanley Kubrick and David Lean and all that stuff. Again, those are great directors too, but for me, I was like, dude, John Carpenter, man, he's my guy. So when he and I connected that way, we worked really well together, and he was very gracious with his letting me play around with the story and his character. And I wrote the script. He loved it, and he was going to go off and try to find funding, because he wanted to make that into a movie. He wanted to make it into an indie horror movie. And when that didn't happen, that fell through. Fast forward about a year or year and a half, I'm looking through my hard drive because I'm cleaning stuff out, cleaning up the files and clean it up. And I see the script for Asset 13. And I went, oh yeah, I remember this project. So I read it again, and I told myself, man, this was really good. This was like fun. This was a fun script. What I mean by fun, I'm not talking about the story is fun. I'm talking about me as a writer. I had a lot of fun writing a horror story, because I never written one before. It was all just superheroes or action, whatever, And so I reached out to Chris. I asked him, hey man, I found the script. I was wondering if you would let me make this into a comic book and let me produce this as a comic book. And he gave me his blessings, and off I went to produce it. And Greg Warrenchak Oddly enough, he reached out to me on X, DM'd me, and told me, "Hey, if you're looking for an artist, I'm available, and you know, I work well with, you know, writers. My rates are reasonable." So I checked out his website. I liked his work, and I thought, you know what, this guy could be a good fit for Asset 13. And so when I pitched him the idea, he's like, "Dude, great! I love John Carpenter. I'm a big fan of the '80s slasher movies. Let's go. Let's do this." So I was like, "Sweet." So we started to work on it, and it was self-funded. I funded it out of pocket, and got it finished. And once I finished it, I was trying to figure out, again, you know, what to do with it. Do I want to crowdfund this? Do I want to sell this just outright and just let people buy it? And so that's what I decided to do when I decided to go for the online stores, to offer this as the first book, if you guys want to back it or purchase it, I should say. Because like I said, the book is done. There's no more work to be done. So once the website goes live, obviously I'm going to go on my socials. I'm going to come on here and promote this, and hopefully, you know, people buy it and read it and let me know their thoughts. I'm really proud of this story. It's very dark, but not bloody or gory. It's more what Chris and I wanted to accomplish with this story is we wanted to channel that John Carpenter, you know, eerie, edge of your seat, you know, suspense horror. That's what we wanted to capture with this, and I think we did a pretty good job with it. I'm really proud of this work. I honestly think it's some of my best work recently that I've done. And I'm not just saying that because I want to sell this book to you. I really do believe that, because if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't have produced this as a comic book. I would have just let it die on the vine. But since I was so proud of it, and again, this is not a story I developed. Chris Hicks developed it, and he hired me to help him, you know, guide him to write the screenplay and clean up his outline. And then the character Asset 13, the main character of the story, he didn't have an origin story of this character. He didn't know who he was, because that was the last thing I asked him when I developed the outline. He was happy with it. I finally asked him, "Hey, who is this guy? Who's Asset 13?" Because Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, he's a vengeful spirit who goes after teenage, you know, camp counselors because they let him drown when he was a boy. So that's his origin story, right? Michael Myers, he's evil incarnate in a boy that eventually became a man. So that's his origin story. Leatherface, he's part of a cannibalistic family, and so on and so forth. And so that's when Chris let me have my fun with it. He's like, "Oh, how about you come up with something then? And then if I like it, we'll keep it." And that's what I did. So, and it's in the story, it's in the book. It's a one shot. It's not a series. So this is it right here. The character, however, will appear again in future projects that I'm going to develop down the line if this ends up being well received. It's part of the Lucid comic book universe, just like the other books that I'm going to offer down the line once I have them ready, because I'm going to get them ready. I don't want to say ready, but when I re-release the other books like Vigilant Fury, Good Old Dragon, and so on, I'm going to change up the look and make it look, you know, good for the everyday reading audience. And so, but this is the first one I'm offering, is Asset 13, which will go live hopefully by tomorrow, because like I said, I ran out of time today, so the website is not live currently. Hopefully it'll be live tomorrow, and then going forward, when I come back every Friday or every other Friday, because I haven't decided yet whether or not I want to live stream every Friday or every other Friday, I'm going to promote, obviously, the website so that people can buy their copy. And again, the book is done, so I'll start shipping out books at the end of May. So we're already in May 1st. Just that's the goal. The goal is to get the inventory up and just start shipping stuff out, and then hopefully the revenue will be enough to continue on growing a Lucid comic with your help and support. Arabot asked me, why did you make comics? It's, to me, the best medium to tell your stories without restrictions. Now, there are restrictions in the sense of, depending on the kind of artist you hire, they may not be able to draw certain things that you need in order to tell your story, but that's, you could work around that. But when it comes to budget, when it comes to big ideas, high concepts, the comic book medium is the best place to do that at. TV and movies is also good platforms, but there's a lot of money involved in that, right? Special effects, CGI, actors, tradesmen, you have to hire a whole crew to make that happen on the big screen. Whereas here, you just need a great artist, a great inker, if you need one, a colorist, and a letterer. And I letter my own book, so that's the plus. But all this lettering in all my books, I letter them. I don't outsource my lettering because I like lettering. It's very fun. It makes me feel part of the process of giving you guys a product like this. And so that's why I chose to make comic books, because it's I don't want to say it's easy either. It's not easy to make comic books because you are dealing with another person outside of you who you're trying to convince to get the vision that you have in your head onto paper, but that artist may have a different interpretation to what you have. So your job is to kind of be like the captain of the ship and make sure you get as close to it as possible. And a lot of the time, when you do have that collaboration relationship going, which is the reason why I wanted to keep working with Greg, because I had so much fun working with Greg on last Thanksgiving. I offered him Samuel Zion because I thought he'd be a perfect fit for Samuel Zion. And also our working relationship was so natural. It seemed like we already knew each other and we already know what we like. And so I kind of found my, I guess for lack of a better term, my dancing partner. And that's what I think, in my opinion, every indie comic book writer like me who can't draw to save his life, you always want to find an artist who just like just on the same eye level with you. They just know what you want and they give you exactly what you need to tell your story. And Greg is one of those guys. So I like working with Greg. Yeah, dude. Thank you. That one was a lot of fun too. That one was really, that Samuel Zion was a story that really pushed me to really, okay, maybe I should go edgy here. And you know what I'm talking about, Ben, because you were a beta reader. You got first access to that story. And by the way, again, guys, Samuel Zion is done. That book is complete. But again, I'm right now formatting it through for printing, and I got a few things I need to tweak. But it's done. The first book is done, and now it's just a matter of again getting ready so I could release it in an online store and people can get their copies right away. But yeah, that one was that one was fun, dude. I really liked the character, and I do hope that readers do as well, because I do want to create that character and make a series with that character. And again, that's another thing that I want to do with Elusive Comic going forward is do one shots. Even if the book doesn't do well, for instance, let's just say I do Samuel Zion and I put it out there and it doesn't do well, at least you'll have a complete story. That's the beauty about it, is that about my approach going forward is that if I give you one story, then I did my job. And if you want more, great, then keep supporting and I'll make more. That's going to be the goal going forward for Elusive Comic, and what I want to do for everyone out there. So that's going to be the first one that's going to go out. And then down here, of course, it's about us. Like I said, I kept it very simple. I didn't want to go too crazy. And then upcoming releases, I have these 3 books that I'm going to release later this year. Reset Protocol, if you didn't back it, now you're going to have a chance to own a copy of it. But again, I'm changing some stuff that in terms of like printing and the look and the cover and everything. And then Vigilant Fury, it's going to have a new cover. This cover here, and let me just show you guys here because it'll be I can zoom in. This cover here was done by Robert Geronimo. Excuse me. And what a cover. This is the sample Okay, this is the first one before we changed it to this rated knife, but this was the first uh I guess version, the draft that he gave me, but I loved it. I was like, this is perfect. So this is going to be the new cover that I'm going to release Vigilant Fury with. Obviously, like I said, the knife is different, but because I couldn't find the other file to show you guys, but this is the cover name. You know, the title will be up here, and I know a lot of backers um for the original campaign got a manga sized Vigilant Fury book. This version will be the regular American sized comic book version. And also the crowdfunding book version of Vigilant Fury had 100 pages. It had 20 pages of extra material. This version from the online store, it's just going to have 80 pages and that's it. It's 80 pages of the story and that's the end of it. No extra pages. So I'm really excited to release this to new readers because I especially if you guys back this, you guys know the story. But for those who don't know the story, now that the Epstein files have gone out and a lot more people know about human trafficking, this book is right up like that. This was like kind of ahead, because that's what I wanted to not expose, but really make a comment on when I wrote this story is pretty much put a spotlight on how these poor victims get trafficked. And this is kind of part of that. The idea was what happens when one person who is caught in that unfortunate situation of being trafficked decides to fight back. That's it. That was the premise, the idea that spawned Vigilant Fury. So yeah, it's going to be, I'm excited for the new cover to unleash it. I'm going to start promoting it more and more as the time goes on. There you go. And so, again, I'll keep you guys posted about when I will release these, but it will be this year. These books will be released this year. And then, of course, Samuel Zion right there. Real quick, I'll read the thing here. Cursed to walk the earth until he collects all the evil entities he accidentally released thousands of years ago, Samuel Zion, PI, has finally mastered mastered Solomon's key. When the evil entities discover this fact, they unleash their armies of warlocks, mystics, and soldiers to stop Zion from capturing them by any means necessary. So, essentially, Samuel Zion is the seed of the idea was basically what happens to a guy who's immortal but doesn't want to be immortal anymore. He just wants to rest in peace. He wants to die. He wants it to be over with. He's tired of living on Earth, but he can't die. He can't die until he collects the entities he accidentally released thousands of years ago. So this story starts out with him finally, after thousands and thousands of years walking the earth, suffering, trying to figure out all sorts of ways to cheat the curse. It doesn't work. So he finally decides, fine, I'll just freaking collect demons then. And that's the idea. Ben mentioned that it was a fun read. It was fun to write. I'm really looking forward to writing this character. Obviously, there's a lot of influence from Doctor Strange there. Hellblazer, John Constantine, going back to Vertigo. I loved Hellblazer, the series. It was one of my favorites. But he's not a chain smoking, Brit. He's just a guy who's just like, he has all this power to take, to trap these evil entities he released, but doesn't care about saving the world, doesn't care about helping people out. He just wants to die. That's it. That's his goal. That's it. And that's pretty much the premise of Samuel Zion. I didn't have Ghetto Dragon here because that's going to be later in the year. So once I'm trying to figure out my speed. So once I get this store going, this website will be updated, and eventually you'll see the Ghetto Dragon listed there. And I have a lot of plans for Ghetto Dragon as well. And these are going to be what I call foundational books. All these books, they seem separate, they look separate, but in reality, they all share the same world. So Vigilant Fury, Research Protocol, Samuel Zion, Asset 13, it's all within the same space. And eventually these characters will down the line, if God willing, if it all works out, will eventually converge. No major crossovers, just something subtle. That's my thinking. So that's what I'm thinking when it comes to building the foundation of these books. But let's see. And yeah, here's my Substack link here. It's not, like I said, it's not live yet. So, but if you sign up to my Substack from now until the website goes live, until the end, when the inventory is gone, you receive a pre PDF, and the 20% discount code is for the Lucid Lounge. I have to change that language for that one. I ran out of time. And then after that, it's pretty much my socials down here. And then you can follow me on any of the social media platforms here. And that's it. This is the I know a lot of you guys saw my tweet about I'm trying something new. Hopefully it works out. This is what I was talking about. I was talking about this. Something new, something that I'm more comfortable with, I'm most comfortable with. Because now I can just simply book myself on shows, and I could book myself in September, October, May, June, July, whatever, for the rest of the year. I could just book myself on shows and just shill this and sell this to new readers, hopefully new readers and new people who've never heard of my work before. And as more time progresses, then I'll obviously start to drop more books. Ghetto Dragon, like I said, I have big plans for Ghetto Dragon. Still working that out, but this is it right here, guys. This is what I've been working on for the past 5 months. This is the reason why I've been radio silent for the past 5 months. It's because I've been working on this stuff, trying to figure out the best course of action for me that's more comfortable for me, so that way I can get more material out to you. Because, like I said in the beginning, the name of the game is consistency. Readers love consistency. Readers, when they read your book, right? Let's just say they read one book of yours and they like it. Next question, that 90% of the time, what else you got? Right? It's not always the way. I mean, I do it whenever I discover a writer or an artist who's done a book that's like, whoa, this is really good. The first thing I do is, what else have they done? Because I want to get that book. I want to check them out. That's a prime example was for me was Evan Bjelkovic. Now, Evan Bjelkovic, he, rest in peace. He died in the late 90s, very young, due to cancer. But I read Human Target from all places, Vertigo, and I immediately fell in love with his artwork. His sequentials were so on point that to this very day, he remains the most influential comic book artist for me. Every time I want to stir things up with my sequential storytelling, the first thing I do is I pull out my Human Target issues and I study the book. I don't reread it. I just look at the sequentials and remind myself why I got in the game in the first place. Because Evan Bjelkovic has such a fundamental understanding of sequential storytelling. And that's the reason why I like working with Greg as well, because Greg Warrenchak for Asset 13 and Samuel Zeon, I know his art is not going to be to the liking of a lot of people, and I understand that. But the reason why I still love working with Greg is because he has a fundamental understanding of sequential storytelling, meaning he knows exactly what to do when he tells a story sequentially, which is why I like working with them. So Evan Bjelkovic, when I discovered Human Target, I think I discovered it when I was 25. I just happened to I was looking through the back bins at my local comic shop, and I was in the H section because I was looking at some Incredible Hulk books, and I saw Human Target, and I was like, oh, Human Target, what's this? And I looked through it, and I saw Tim Bradstreet's cover, and I love Tim Bradstreet cover. At the time, he was doing Punisher for Marvel Knights with Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. And so when I saw his cover, I was like, oh, dude, I like this guy. I like this cover artist. I'm going to check this out. So I bought all the 4 issues because it was only 4 issues. And I read them, and that was it, man. It was over. I was like, who is this Evan Bjelkovic guy? And of course, at the end, I found out that he passed away. But I discovered that he drew a few Star Wars issues for Dark Horse, and he drew a few issues for Grendel for Dark Horse. And I found those issues, I bought them, and I read them, and I still, those are my prized possessions from my personal collection. Like it doesn't, those books will never leave my long box. I'm never reselling them. They're mine. They're like worn out. I need to buy new copies because I've worn them out of constant rereading, because that's how much of an influence he was to me as a sequential storyteller. Even though I don't draw at all, but the fact that his sequential spoke to me in some deep level, I don't know how, but they did. His art did, and so he's like my guy. I always go back and reference Evan Bielkovic. If you guys have not read Human Target by Evan Bielkovic, and I think written by Peter Milligan, check it out. Find a trade if you can. Go to your local comic shop, ask them if they still have it, and pick up your issues, because you won't be disappointed by that book. But saying that, yeah, this is it, guys. A Lucid Comic Shop. Hopefully, it goes live tomorrow, and I'm able to get this started. Let's see if there's anything else I need here I can mention. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Was announced that I was going to have a online comic shop and give you guys a clear idea what I'm going to do, what I'm going to pursue for the next year, for the rest of the year. I'm going to fulfill Acid 13 again by the end of May. So if you pre-order your copies, you'll get your book by June. And I'm going to be fulfilling them myself. And then right now, my throat's going off. Excuse me. I'm hoping by June I'm going to have a print on demand store ready, and I'm still working with the printer, and so I'll be making an announcement there soon as well. And there you go. And so once I have the print on demand service set up and everything, of course I'm gonna let you guys know. And yeah, that's gonna be another factor there that I'm really excited about, because then I don't have to worry about shipping and handling. I'll have the printer, do all that stuff, heavy lifting for me. And I'm looking forward to 2026 and beyond. I finally feel at peace, guys. Honestly, I was on edge back in December because I didn't know what I was going to do. I actually thought about quitting a few times because I thought nothing was never going to come of it. But then when I remembered my brother-in-law's words about there's no excuse to fail, today, because of all the avenues we have, all the platforms available to us that we can use to utilize our online storefronts, it was like, yeah, I just have to change my approach. That's it. And that's what I did. I changed my approach, and I want to let all you guys out there, who are also indie creators, who also want to make it. Yeah, there is no excuse. You could just go out there. But I understand that, again, before I call it a night, I'll briefly touch upon this. It does take money to make a comic book. If you don't have the funds, you're never going to make your comic book, because you have to pay your artists. That's just a given. You can't not pay your artists. If you're blessed enough to have, if you're a writer like me, because I've just been the producer and creator, so I pay out of pocket to produce my comic books. That's how serious I am about this. When you pay out of pocket to produce your comic books, to me, you're a serious artist and storyteller who wants to put your name out there. And so when you're in my shoes, and I'm not the only one, obviously there's all these other people who pay out of pocket. If you don't have the funds, you can't get the kind of artist you want that would kill your story. And when I mean by kill, I mean like, make it like absolutely amazing. And you know what I'm talking about. And so you got to work with what you got in terms of your budget. And if you're lucky enough to find an artist who's willing to work with your budget, great. That's even better. But at the moment, me at in my current economic financial state, I can only do so much until I start getting some revenue from the books I start to sell out, start to sell to you guys, and not just to my colleagues, but also readers. And so it's going to be a lot. So going forward, I'll be a lot more active on social media, on YouTube, TikTok, and all the other platforms, and just sell the online shop, and hopefully get people to see, get them exposed to, Asset 13, and see and have them enjoy and be entertained by this, and be so entertained that they ask, "What else you got?" And it'd be perfect, because then it's like, "Hey, I got Vigilant Fury. If if that's not something you're looking for, I got this. I got Reset Protocol, or I got Ghetto Dragon, or I got Samuel Zeon, or I got, I'm working on another series with Greg called Beyond the Veil. That's not quite ready yet, but once it's ready, of course, I'll announce it to you guys. Beyond the Veil is another story, another series that I'm really looking forward to producing. It's right up my alley. It's my love letter to Rod Serling and Twilight Zone. But again, with a bit more edge. And so once I get that ready, I'll let you guys know. Justin said, "Did I miss, or did you talk about Let's Talk About It with and Kyle?" Yeah, I jokingly said that Kyle's AI program didn't update correctly, so he's glitching, so I couldn't use him tonight. Shout out to Neff. Hopefully you're doing well, buddy. For the joke, the running joke. But no, Kyle couldn't make it tonight. He had other things to do, so I just decided to go solo. And I have to get used to this, because it might happen more and more. It's just the name of the game, So that's what I have to look forward to. Happy you're back, man. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Like I said, I didn't want to come back on until I had this ready. And even though I didn't have it ready today like I wanted to, I'm really close. So that was, for me, it was enough to just share with you guys that I haven't just been sitting on my ass doing nothing for the past 5 months. I actually been working, behind the scenes, just like trying to get everything ready, And I didn't want to go out until I had everything ready. And now that I do, the printing process was a nightmare, guys. Let me tell you, I had to go through 3 printers, because the print samples they gave me was not up to snuff until I got to the printer I was finally happy with, because the other samples were not very good, and I needed it to be as close to perfection as possible, because I'm selling the book at the end of the day, after all, right? So quality does matter to me, and that's why it kept delaying. It kept delaying. I was hoping for January to do this, or February, but since the printer was not up to snuff, I had to research more, and so it took time. That's why I didn't really say anything much. I didn't really mention anything, because I wanted to wait until I finally got it. Keep at it. You too, Tome, and it's good to see you, Dionysius. Yeah, I hope you're also keeping at it, man. Like I want to see more of Tome of Reckoning, man. I really do. It was really great. Don't stay away too long. Stick around too, man. Your stuff is good too. Yeah, I knew Kyle was there. Yeah. He had to change his oil. Ooh, I'm gonna tell him. Oh, it's good to be back, guys. I like hanging out with you guys. I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to do this weekly or bi-weekly, again, because of time. Like I said, I like spending time with my kids on Friday nights. So I will let you guys know. I have some ideas now, finally, for what I'm going to do for my YouTube channel. So I decided that I'm going to make a video series, hopefully down the line, where I break down stories, which is stories that influence me, as a writer. And of course, I mentioned Human Target. So I'll probably have a video series where I actually have a complete breakdown of why the book worked so well for me. Not just Human Target, but like Swamp Thing, like the American Gothic saga that Alan Moore did during his run on Swamp Thing, V for Vendetta, so on and so forth. That's an idea. And of course, is it worth the pickup? It's still going to be a thing. But Kyle and I probably are going to make videos of that instead. Or we're still toying with the idea of making Let's Talk About It just is it worth the pickup? Not even Let's Talk About It. Let's Talk About It will probably be behind the Substack paywall, which I'll probably end up doing solo. But again, I'm still working things out to also be I guess half content creator and I shouldn't say half. I should say 30% content creator, 70% comic book creator, because the reality of our modern world is that I have to do this. I have to be on here and talk about my works with you guys, not just with you guys, but also potentially new viewers like Aerobot here. You know, it's his first time here. Welcome to the show. It's his first time here. He's already a big fan. Great. Fantastic. Hopefully you sub to the channel. If you do, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Because it's I want to I just want to make comic books. Really. I want to tell stories. I want to tell my stories finally and really prove to all of you guys that I can write stories. And I can. It's just that the part that stumps me, the part that kind of, you know, gets me to stumble a bit is this, because I'm not accustomed to being in front of the camera and talking. Now I'm fine. Now I'm like cool. I'm laid back. But in the beginning of the show, dude, I was like a nervous wreck because I didn't have my co-host here with me to bounce off of. I had to do this all alone. So now I'm more comfortable. But see, I have to keep doing this in order to you know, sell my books and sell myself. Tom says work's on me, burnt out, but it's good to see you, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude, I feel you, man. Work for me too is getting to me a bit, but in a good way, because I got a promotion, so it's a bit more responsibility. But hey, again, I got 2 kids to feed, so I gotta do what I gotta do, and that's why this approach is gonna work out so much better for me, because then I can spread it out. It's not a compressed 30 days. It's a spread out, comfortable. I could breathe easy. I could book shows months in advance, and I won't have any problem with you know, trying to reach a stretch goal for a campaign. And again, I'm gonna do crowdfunding campaigns still. It's just now I'm gonna be a lot smarter about it. And yeah, catch me tomorrow with Crenshaw. It's gonna be a great show. You know, since I mentioned Human Target, I did briefly mention to him that's one of the books that really influenced me as a writer. So we'll be talking more about that. Subscribe to his channel or check us out tomorrow. Hopefully the website will be live by then, and Saturday, so I'll have all day to, you know, clear up all the little bugs that I still need to clear up. And then once it goes live, I'll obviously announce it on the show. I'll be on Crenshaw's show tomorrow. I think it's going to be 7 p.m. my time. Are you in Mountain Time, Crenshaw? I believe you are. But if you are, it'll be 7 o'clock my time. I think 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock your time. And then the next show I'll be on will be Gleason's show, Indie Comics Relay. That'll be on a Monday, which will be, I think, the May 11th. I believe that's the date I'll be on. Yes, May 11th. So 8:30 Mountain Time. So that'll be 7:30 my time. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll be on Keith Gleason's Indie Comics Relay show Monday, May 11th. So check me out there. And then I'll be having a drink with Dave Brink on May 17th on his show, and we'll be talking about Acid 13 and all that, you know, good stuff. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a repeat of what I talked to you guys about here, which is the story about how Chris and I end up working together and so on and so forth. I think the same thing with Gleason, but it'll be more because I like talking to Gleason. He's always, him and his co-host Johnny. I love talking to those guys. They're great. And also, it'd be interesting to talk to Dave Brink. It's been a while since I've seen his stuff. So you can check me out on those channels. Let people know. You know, if you see me post about this, you know, share it. Let people know about it. Let people know that they can get it right then and there, pre-order. You know, and they can get their copies right away. It's not Jack. It's not Jack. It's a different whiskey. I forgot the name of it, but it's really good. I love it. I swear by it. Um, let's see. Yeah, and don't forget to hit the like button. I miss telling Kyle the trash people he was. Yeah. Is it worth the pickup? Will still be alive. I think that's one of our best shows because for those who don't know, for those who are new, the Is It Worth the Pickup is when Kyle and I read an issue of a comic book that was released by either Marvel, DC, or Image, whoever. We review it. He looks at it through the lens of a reader. I look at it through the lens of an editor / writer, and we let you guys know if it's worth your money and time. And so stay tuned for that. But I think that's it, guys. That's all I got tonight for you. I thank you for showing up. Thank you for hearing me out. And I'm happy to announce that I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. I love writing comic books. I love producing comic books. I've been producing comic books since I was 18 years old. And it was a trial and error from 18 up until maybe 35 because I kept making mistakes, and I spent a lot of money producing my comic books, thousands and thousands of dollars, not for nothing, because I at least completed some, Ghetto Dragon was complete. Reset Protocol is complete. Vigilant Fury is complete. Asset 13, all this stuff. At least I can say I completed books and I could fulfill them and give them to readers who are looking for something edgy. And that's what Elusive Comics is going to be. It's going to take you to the edge. And that's what I want to channel. I want to channel the spirit of Vertigo, and not only the spirit of Vertigo, but also the outlaw comics that I also ended up loving when I discovered them in my 20s. Black and white outlaw comics that just like, whoa, like Tim Vigil, I believe, was one of them. Jeff Smith is another one. And then who's the other one? The one who did Strangers in Paradise. Help me out, guys. Oh, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Shame on me. Thank you, Justin. Terry Moore. And not only him, but Jim O'Barr from The Crow. Like his Black and White Crow comic is total outlaw, and I love it. And that's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to channel with this. So going forward, with the exception of Ghetto Dragon and Reset Protocol, most of my books are going to be in black and white, and the reason for that is because of cost for me, and also for you. It'll be cheaper for the time anyway, not forever, to print in black and white and deliver black and white books to you guys at a good price. And the same thing it helps me pocket wise as well. If I if I commission an artist to just do a black and white, inks and no colors or no extra stuff, and I let her my own book, so it's a win-win there. So going forward, it will be a black and white. I am going to channel, the outlaw spirit, and Asset 13 is one of them. And yeah, that's it. Welcome back, Julius. Wishing you, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I did love your book too, your series. Oh my God, I'm sorry, man. I can't remember the name of your book, dude. It's been a long day for me. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, Ben. But I did love your book. I read it because Kyle lent me his copy, and I really loved it. There's a few things hopefully we could talk about the Cephas. Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna have to have you come on for Is It Worth the Pickup, because I do have some notes, not bad ones, just some editorial things that I would have suggested to you if I was your editor. But not, like I said, nothing bad. I still enjoyed it. It was a fantastic book, and I can't wait to see what you have in store for that series. It's going to be really great. I'm really excited about it. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's all there is for the show. And thank you again for coming on. We'll see you on the next one. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'm happy to be back. So take care, guys. Peace.
On November 27th, 1997, citizens from a small Midwestern town called Carpenter's Bay were shocked to discover that one of their own brutally massacred his family as well as ending his own life on Thanksgiving Day. Dubbed the Thanksgiving Day Massacre, this horrendous crime would forever tarnish the good name of this peaceful town. However, underneath this story lies a dark secret. A secret involving a government cover-up to hide the real story of what happened that fateful day. As the old saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. Asset 13, The Last Thanksgiving, written by Julius Freeman, art by Greg Warrenchak, available on Global Comics. Evil has a new holiday.